All right, you guys. So today is February 20th, and this is our On Fire Empire team call. And we're super excited to have Leslie and Jessica leading it for us tonight. They just got back from the New Leader Conference, which is a really exclusive leadership conference that you can be invited to as you get invited one time as a coach. And have they released like the requirements for it this year yet?
Assuming it's 1-star, but with 10 elite points.
Yep. So I'm going to just hand it over to them and let them go. They can talk about what it is and what it meant to them and their takeaways they want to share. So Leslie, you got it, girl?
Yep. Okay, so I definitely had the New Leader Conference I set that as my goal as soon as Logan went last year, seeing her pictures and hearing her takeaways, I wanted it. It looked incredible. Her takeaways were amazing. And I knew that at that time, it was a 2-star qualification. So I knew I had to be 2-star by the end of the year. And along the way, they changed it to 1-star, but of course, you never change your goal. So I kept that. I had to be 2-star by the end of the year so that I could go. I was super happy that Jessica joined our team along the way so that she could come with me, because otherwise I would have had to go by myself. and honestly, it was a little bit out of my comfort zone, you guys. I was so used to traveling with Logan and Renee. Every trip I'd gone on, we were like the 3 musketeers, and then Jordan came along, and so then there was 4 of us, and then, we got to go to Dallas and meet Haley, and so there was always a group of us, and this time I got on the plane by myself, and I was like, this is kind of scary, but kind of exciting. This is kind of fun to step out on my own and see who I want to be, and get to introduce myself as Leslie Sullivan, and that's it, So I was amazed right away, how spoiled rotten we were. At Summit, we had the opportunity because Logan was a premier coach, and Megan E. Walton had given us some really cool tickets to go to some really fancy parties. And I'm not gonna lie, they treated us better than those fancy parties at Summit. They treated us better than they treat elite coaches at Summit. They brought out all the stops, sushi and fancy appetizers and drinks and all the fancy gifts, and they just treated us amazing. And we had the photo ops you guys saw. I got to have my picture taken with Autumn. I got to meet incredible people, and it was just surreal. Flew by, learned so much, incredible experience. Mine and Jessica's biggest takeaways for sure were Instagram, and learning how to have a better homework-life balance, which we were like, oh my gosh, we have to take this back to our team because we know how much you guys need this. So we kind of tugged the word a little bit on that topic because we both wanted to share it with you because we are both so passionate about it, how much it's already impacted our lives. But obviously Instagram is a huge one, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. Funny story though, when I first got to LA, we went out for Mexican, and I'm stopping at corners and doing my Instagram stories, and we had a couple girls that we met up with, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, doing my Instagram story, and I was like, oh my gosh, there is a cockroach. There are no cockroaches where we live. This is disgusting. Someone get me an Uber, and I'm just being dramatic and being myself. You guys know me. I'm weird. Or if you don't know I'm weird, then you will know that soon. And they're making fun of me. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, an Instagram story. And they're like, that has nothing to do with Beachbody. And I was like, yeah, but that's what I do. It's entertaining. People like it. That's why people watch my Instagram stories. I'm weird. That's my personality, And so they were kind of teasing me about, oh, there's Leslie doing another Instagram story. And then the next day, we're saturated with information about Instagram stories. And there was part of me that was kind of like, what did you guys think about the presentation? Like, not like trying to like rub it in or anything, but I was like, you guys, this is where it's at. But I wasn't rubbing it in because that was me 6 months ago. Logan blowing up Instagram, me completely in denial that I needed Instagram. You know, oh, I have 3,000 followers on Facebook. I got this. Like, I don't need Instagram. What the heck? Like, I'm hitting numbers. I'm fine. And she's like, you guys, Instagram's where it's at. Instagram's where it's at. I'm getting all my people from Instagram. Yeah, that seems like a lot of work. I only have like 300 followers on Instagram. I don't need Instagram. Wrong. I was so wrong. So I was so late to the game. And when I finally jumped in to Instagram, it became very, very clear what an opportunity I was missing. So I'm going to give you guys some tips on Instagram and on Instagram stories. So I hope you have a notebook and pen because I'm going to give you lots of information. Okay. So number one, and some of this you may have heard already, but I still want you to write it down because it's good to hear it again, and it's good to write it down and have it revisited so that you can rethink it and just go through it again, okay? And think about what questions you have about this. Do you fully understand it? Is there something that you need help, that you need to go to your coach and be like, okay, I don't really understand this. Am I actually doing this? Can you help me with this? Number one, figure out who you are talking to, okay? This is the hugest one. You are not just talking to the world of Instagram, okay? And if you are, your message is getting lost. I know that we have talked to you guys about interest lists and 5 pillars and all those things. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then we can help you figure that out, like connect with your coach. But basically what it comes down to is you have more to offer the world than just health and fitness, entrepreneurship, work from home, financial flexibility, like all those things. Okay, we know you have that to offer the world. But what else is Bonnie? What else is Heidi? What else do you have to offer the world? What other kind of people are you going to connect with? It's as easy as writing it down on a piece of paper, and it should come very easily to you. If you have to think hard about it, it's probably not you, okay? Like, I revisit them sometimes to make sure that's still where I'm at, and almost every single time the same words come out, okay? And they're usually words like life after divorce, co-parenting, coffee, being a mom. Like, those are the kind of things that I share consistently. And my followers know every single time they come to my page that those are the things that I'm going to talk about. And those are the people that are going to want to be my friends. Does that make sense? And if there's people that aren't interested in those things, they're not my people. They're probably not going to want to follow me. And that's okay. So you're not looking for other work from home moms. You're not looking for other Beachbody coaches. Do you guys find that? Do you find that you hashtag certain things and all of a sudden you're like, the only people following me are Beachbody coaches. Like, I don't want a bunch of Beachbody coaches following me. I want to find my people. That is completely normal. And if that's happening to you, you need to look at the hashtags that you're using. One of the ways that you can maximize your time is to start exploring what you are offering. So like I said, health and fitness, work from home, flexibility, entrepreneurship, and start thinking about what you have in value to offer. I think I already said that. Number 2, hashtags. Okay, so search hashtags that are related to who you are. Okay, let me give you an example. There's a little button at the bottom in the Explorer tab. It's like a magnifying glass. And so I can type in co-parenting, okay? And it will populate other popular co-parenting hashtags. Have you guys used this? You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, so I'll type in a hashtag. So I'll go to hashtags, Explorer, and I'll type in co-parenting, and it'll pop up and it'll be like co-parenting life, co-parenting sucks, co-parenting is the devil, co-parenting, you know what I mean? Like those kind of things. And then I will decide which co-parenting hashtags I want to start using and how many followers those hashtags are using. Does that make sense? So you don't have to get so creative. You don't have to come up with all this like in your mind. And there are websites to help you too, which if someone wants to help me and share that over on the site, that would be awesome too, to help you populate hashtags that you can use, okay, that are safe to use. One tip that I have learned, and this is conflicting advice that we've given you in the past. I always tell, who do I tell this to? Jen Aker, I'm going to throw you under the bus, that if you have 30 lotto tickets, why would you only buy 25? Because like, why aren't you using all of your 30 hashtags? Well, conflicting information, actually 25 hashtags are better than 30 hashtags. So you should actually keep your hashtags between 20 and 25 from a few videos that I've watched recently. Instagram is seeing 30 hashtags as you might be a spammer. So you might want to play around with that to see where your likes are at by using various amounts of hashtags, okay? Guys, hashtags or Instagram changes every single day. Facebook changes every single day. Like if you knew how many videos Logan watches like a day trying to keep up with social media, you would probably be like, oh my gosh. Because this is her job, right? And so she's like putting on her mascara, trying to keep up with like, what is going on with Instagram today? Like, it's true, but that's because she takes her job very seriously. So another thing to keep in mind, and this comes from Jen Richardson, who is amazing at Instagram, don't use the same hashtags every single day, okay? So take your hashtags, copy and paste them in your notes, okay? Then take another set of hashtags, copy and paste them in your notes. Alternate them. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that you're not continually using the same hashtags every single day. You want to take a break every now and then. You don't want to put hashtags on every single post, okay? These are all things to protect you from flagging Facebook, from thinking that you're a spammer, which we're going to talk about in a second. All right. One of the most important things that you can do, and this is how you're going to fill your funnel. This is how you get people who are watching you to become challengers, okay? Is you have to start going and looking at people's profiles and interacting with them, okay? You can't just sit around and wait for them to come to you. That shit ain't gonna happen, okay? Maybe every now and then you'll get one. That's it. It's not very likely, okay? And if you guys think that even Logan, who's on a freaking Pio commercial, sits back and just sits there and the SC points roll in, you're wrong. She works very, very hard. Haley works very, very hard to get her freaking 32 Success Club points, okay? They don't just roll in, okay? So you have to go engage with people. So I'm going to go to that co-parenting hashtag. I'm going to go find someone who hashtags something that I'm going to look at their profile. Hey, does this look like somebody I could be friends with? I'm going to go to one of their posts. I'm going to read their caption. And if you guys actually look around, this is very eye-opening for me. If you actually look around, there are not a lot of Instagram posts that actually get comments. Most people, what do? Tap, tap. Tap, tap. People don't comment on Instagram posts. They just don't. So if you actually take the time to read someone's caption, leave a valuable post or a valuable comment, and even ask a question, start a conversation with someone, they are going to write you back. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. If you do it on 2 posts, If you do it on 2 posts and then send them a message and say, hey girl, I noticed that you're really into this. Me too. Like, oh my gosh, they're going to start a conversation with you. It has nothing to do with health and fitness. You're not messaging someone saying, hey girl, do you want to join my 30-day Love Your Bod group? That's not how we roll. Okay? You're just starting a conversation with them. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm looking for nods. Everybody has that? Does that feel like safer than the salesy, like, hey, you want to join my group? Okay. I just want to make sure. All right. So things you should be sharing on your stories every day. Do you guys know what you should be sharing on your stories? Ideally, 5 to 12 stories a day. Some people share about 10 stories a day, okay? It's actually really easy to do once you get going. And that sounds daunting at first. 10 stories, like what the heck am I gonna share? Share your kids jumping off the bed. Share your, you making your shake. Share, there's so many things you can share. You're sharing your whole day. Your whole day is long, okay? There are 4 things you're gonna share throughout the day, okay? Ready? You love bullet points, don't you? I can see all you OCD people. Okay, I'm not an OCD person. You would die if you saw my notes right now. Jen would freak out. Okay, number 1. Where are you in your life right now? Okay? Are you pregnant? Are you postpartum? Are you just getting started on a health and fitness journey? Are you just getting back on track? Did you just move and you have no friends? Are you dealing with a new health condition? Are you, I don't know, give me some ideas. I don't know, breastfeeding? Are you, there's so many different things that could be going on in your life. And those are the things that you're going to be sharing on a regular basis. I share about co-parenting very frequently. I share about being a mom every single day. Mom life, hello. I share about being a farmer's wife. I share, what else do I share about every single day? Coffee. I share about coffee. I share about how I miss wine. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things, like who you are. You're going to share that every single day. And those things might evolve. They might change, right? Logan shared about bed rest. And she shared about her pregnancy. And now she's sharing about being postpartum and that she's dairy free and that Lily's fussy and that this sucks. And like those are things that she's sharing about now. It's going to evolve. Things are always evolving, but she's sharing where she's at now so that people can relate to her. You're relatable when you're real. Okay? Number 2, fitness and health. This is where you share fitness and health. This is going to be the most impactful place that you share fitness and health. This is going to be way more impactful than sharing a sweaty selfie on Facebook or Instagram. Okay? Why? Because you have an opportunity to talk about it. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, I think Haley had a great example. Haley does a really great job at this. Like she went through how to make her shake. And that was like a super engaging post. She was like, hey, I'm throwing in my spinach, I'm throwing in my banana, and like I'm blending it up really good. And that is way more interesting than like, got my shake, girl. You know what I mean? Like that's way more interesting. Talking about your mom crack and what it does for you, way more interesting. Talking about your recover and why you like it. Those are the kind of things that create curiosity. Those are the kind of things where you have the opportunity to talk about what they're doing for you. The other piece of that is when you share a piece of your workout every day, no matter how uncomfortable that is for you, you are showing people that you are dependable, that you are consistent. This is the hugest reason that Renee has been successful at this business, you guys. She is one of the most consistent coaches I know. She shows up and she presses play every single day, and people trust her, okay? They see that she's consistent. They're like, hey, I'm going to sign up with that girl because she presses play. She does her workout every day, right? That's somebody you can trust. People probably look at me and they're like, dude, where is that girl? Like, what happened to her? I don't even know where she went. But do you agree? Like, consistency is very powerful. You want to be able to trust your coach. It attracts people. So share your shakes, share your supplements, share your workouts, use Splice, make a video, mix it up. Haley shared a non-fancy workout today, you know, just her huffing and puffing. That's really good too. You know, show them the real stuff too. You know, show them the unedited stuff too. Like, mix it up. Like, people like that. They like real. Okay. Number 3, sharing on your stories. And I cannot read any of these. I can't read and talk at the same time. So if anybody wants. Okay. Number 3, you're going to share your personality. So I went to the hairdresser and she's like, I got to tell you something. So I was like, okay. She was like, you are the only person on Instagram that I watch that's not a celebrity. I was like, wow, that's a really nice compliment. Thank you so much. And she's like, yeah. He said, whenever I'm watching you, my husband's always like, what the are you watching? And I was like, oh, that's not so nice. And so then in Spokane this weekend, I had an opportunity to have a lunch date with a couple of my coaches, or one challenger and one coach. And the challenger, I haven't seen her in like 9 or 10 years, right? And I was kind of in a darker place then, you know, but I was still like pretty outgoing. And she was like, I kind of forgot how weird you are. So I was like, you know me? And I was like, you watch my Insta stories? And she's like, yeah, I thought you were kind of playing it up. And I was like, no, I'm really just weird. And she's like, okay, I mean, that's cool. I kind of forgot that you're this quirky. I was like, yeah. So, I mean, it was kind of cool that I was like, well, at least I'm being myself, right? Like, this is really me. So that when people meet you, you're like, yeah, no, this is really me. I'm doing a good job, right? So be yourself, okay? Think about, what does my husband love about me? What do my kids love about me? What do my friends love about me? Those are the kind of things that I should be showing on my Insta story, okay? I shouldn't be sitting there just being all perfect and talking all perfect with the perfect lighting all the time. I mean, lighting is good though, lighting's important. But you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have to be perfect, okay? Speak up, okay? You want to be engaging. You don't want people to swipe out of your story. If I can't hear you, I'm going to swipe out. I cannot tell you how many stories I hear where I can't hear you guys. I'm just going to be real. Some of you are so soft-spoken, I cannot hear you. Like, I will turn up the volume and I'm like, I can't hear you, okay? So if you're whispering, I can't hear you. So be engaging, be energetic. Even if it's 5 in the morning, I know you're being quiet because your kids are up, but at least have a little energy in your face, okay? Like, smile. Okay, I'm almost done. Number 4, your business. You need to be sharing that every single day, okay? And I know that can be scary because some of you are brand new. So you think, well, I'm not going to share that yet. I'll wait until I make a little more money, or I'll wait until I have some coaches, or I'll wait until I get a bigger paycheck. No. Start now. Like, I guarantee you this business has already blessed your life, right? It's already blessed your life. Do these calls bless your life? Okay. Yes. do the opportunity that you get to go to a Super Saturday, or that you're excited about Summit, does the opportunity that you are doing personal development, or that you're getting fed, you know, that you're growing as a person, does that bless your life? That you're dreaming bigger, that you have a bigger vision for your life, that you're part of something bigger, that, you know, that you made $100 this week, and that you got to take your husband on a date. Anything, celebrate anything, okay? It's all big and it all adds up. And one thing that Bonnie Engel said that really, really punched me in the gut, when you are sharing that opportunity, like with the public, be really honest about what this opportunity is, okay? And this is something that I wasn't doing. And I don't know if you guys are at all guilty of this, but I'd be like, girl, you should totally sign up as a coach with me. It's like so fun. You just like work out all the time. You like post your pictures on Facebook and like, yeah, that's about it. It's like super easy. Like, that's so not true. Like, I have to work hard, right? So I was attracting people who didn't really want to work hard. So be real about the fact that this takes work, but if you're just wanting to do it part-time, it can fit into your mom cracks. But if you have big goals, you have to work hard. And then just the last couple things to talk about, because I want to give Jessica time. You can talk about objections on Instagram. So if you're getting a lot of price objections, you don't have to say, hey, I'm getting a lot of price objections, but you can just be like, you know what, guys? You know how I like, how did I do this one day? I think I started talking about like, I'm so glad Logan does this one really well. She'll talk about how she used to go to Starbucks and get a breakfast sandwich and a fatty coffee, and now she drinks her Shakeology instead. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's addressing an objection without calling anybody out. Does that make sense? Talk about what attracted you to the business and celebrate other people's successes. People love transformation photos. That has transformed all of our businesses. So, in summary, okay, use all the tools that Instagram has to offer you. Add value to the people who are following you, their lives. I didn't tell you this part, but don't talk for more than 3 speaking voices, please. That's a good tool. Don't unfollow more than 60 people a day. Recommend things or you'll get shadow bans. More on that later. Recommend things because you'll add credibility. So don't just talk about Beachbody. Go live. And remember that you're building relationships there. I tell my girls this all the time. You're not salesmen. You're building friendships, okay? If you focus on being someone's friend, okay? If you don't listen to anything I freaking just said, just listen to this one last thing, okay? If you focus on being someone's friend and not on them being a prospect, on them being a future challenger, okay? If you just focus on them being your friend, like they're genuinely their friend, okay? It will all come together because this is a gift that has blessed your life. And there's no way that you could hold this gift from a friend, okay? So I promise you that it takes a little time, but it's worth it because you will never feel icky. You will never feel like a salesman, and it will always feel natural. So focus on building friendships and not forming your next client, okay? And if you do that, it will work out, okay? I promise. So that's all I had. I'm sorry I talked so much. It's probably because I'm just loony right now. Jessica, you still got 30 minutes, 25.
It's all good because I tend to get nervous and then talk way too fast. So
Okay.
I want to kind of agree with Leslie about the experience in general. It was very surreal, and I think I was expecting there to be way more people. And so it really brought home the idea that it was a big thing, you know, that we earned a spot there. And, you know, we got to meet a lot of the support system that we have in corporate when you reach diamond and above. And, you know, just to be able to dig in with them and have so many people on your side as you move forward with your goals, you know, I think was like an added bonus. Yeah, Jordan, you'll. I know you're going to have more than one person with you, right? We're going to have a bunch of people on this team going. But I'm going to get straight to a topic that I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to. Melanie Mitro which for anybody that's brand new, that is the top coach for 3 years now. And she is incredible. But she started this topic with her personal experience of when she first got into coaching, being so passionate about it that that's all she did all the time. And it got to the point where her husband actually sat her down and gave her an ultimatum that it was going to be the business or him. And when she shared that, I couldn't help but see a little glimpse of my first 8 months in coaching, because that was exactly what happened to me. I was in a season of my life that was already crazy because my girls were like 9 months old whenever I got into coaching. I was still practicing as a veterinarian, and I was a hot mess. And I jumped into this full force, and it's all I ever wanted to do all day long. And my poor family kind of got my leftovers. And while things were going really great on the business side, it took me longer than it should have to recognize that everything else was kind of falling apart. And so I was really glad that they touched on this, because it allows us to be able to bring back some really good tools that I think are vital for you to be able to stick with this for the long haul and be able to achieve the goals that you want to better your family without, taking away from them. You don't want to sacrifice your why for your why. Is that what they always say? So first and foremost, you have to have a very clear picture of what success looks like for you and your family. What kind of goals are you trying to achieve, and what is the why behind them? And when I say, you need to do this, I mean you need to do it as a family. You need to sit down with your significant other and really think about what you want for your life together for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And really allow yourself to dream big with what this opportunity could do for you. I know it's so easy to listen to these national wake-up calls and hear all of these crazy success stories of how they're making, hundreds of thousands of dollars in this short amount of time. But it's doable. And while we may not all want that kind of success, I think it's still vital for you to kind of have some kind of idea of what you are even here for. And by including your family, you're already going to be eliminating one of the biggest mistakes that we tend to make. And by not including them, you're pretty much telling them, well, this is what I want. I don't really care if you're on the same page, and I'm going to spend all this time trying to work towards it. No wonder a lot of our spouses don't get it in the beginning if we don't even tell them what we're doing, because so many of us hide it from them at first because we're not really sure what we're doing either, right? I know I was guilty of I have that mentality well, I'm going to do it no matter what you say, which is horrible. I'm not like that anymore, or not as much at least, but definitely was a big mistake in the beginning. So when you're able to do that, then you can get them on board with helping you make those goals possible. So I remember Summer Tucker, if y'all know who that is, the founder of Team Courage. She shared a story about how Chad had a flight he had to go do or something, and so she was having to arrange something with the kids, and then she realized that she already had things scheduled, whatever it was, but she pretty much compared her job as a coach as equally as important as his responsibilities as a pilot. And when she said that, it was uh-oh, my thing kicked me off, sorry. Something flashed up on my screen and y'all all went away. When she shared that, though, it was like a light bulb went off. And, it really hit home that, okay, if I really want this to be my business, and even when I was still practicing as a vet, I had big goals to be able to make this my full-time career and leave practice, I had to treat it that way. And that means talking to people around you and getting appropriate support, for example, to make calls like this. And the longer you do this, the more you could kind of see, okay, well, maybe I should have planned a little bit like further in advance with the girls tonight. That way I didn't like have him come home, throw the girls at him, say, okay, you need to feed them and bathe them, and I'm going to get on the call. You know, like when we do things like that, because we're so excited, we're not really thinking it through, that's going to add, you know, resentment, and no wonder they don't love these calls you get on. And so unfortunately, some of us has taken a lot of trial and error to figure those things out. So now when I know I have calls like this, I make sure I have an easy meal prepared. I'll do fast early. I'll tell him like in advance, you know, like this is what's going on, so you're prepared. I'm not like throwing it in your face. We're working as a team. And the more that you do those little things to make it easier on them when they're helping you do something that's coaching related, the more thankful they're going to be that you're involving them, honestly. And it really becomes something that y'all are achieving together, which I think is even more rewarding, you know, whenever you're doing it as a team. Once you are kind of on the same page, you need to get really honest with how much time you're devoting to your business and where there's spots where you may be able to free up time. And if you don't have some kind of like planner or calendar, you need to get something. She specifically talked about doing Google calendars. I personally am a pen and paper person all the way. I've been using planner pads for almost 2 years now, and I actually pulled out my old one that looks the way it should look. If you go through and do like she did, every color is a different priority, and so I would do a certain color for my personal time, like PD, workouts, time with God and prayer, my husband, my family, my business, and then miscellaneous. And I would try my hardest to schedule that before the week. And it would, 50% of it would go out the window, to be honest, because I have twin toddlers and my life is crazy. But just having that like mental image of, you know, where I wanted my time to be, what activities that I needed to be focusing on in each priority, really helped me not only with having a game plan going into the week, but also with kind of checking myself during the week. You know, if I'm saying I'm going to spend 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock with my family uninterrupted, and I'm finding myself doing Beachbody related work, then I need to address something. You know, I need to tweak something. And you need to look at your planner or calendar and schedule those non-negotiables before your business. So again, family time with your spouse. If you have a full-time job, block off all of those hours on your planner. If you you need to factor in your workouts and meal planning. That is one of the vitals. You have to take care of yourself. So often we get caught up in, you know, these other things that we're supposed to be doing with connecting with people, that we stop pressing play and we start eating junk. You know, nobody's going to want to join us if we're not even able to keep our own stuff in line. And so you need to block off those times and then look at it as a whole and see what you have left for your business. The next thing that so many of us do, and I know I'm not alone with this, but the second we start getting coaches, we start forgetting to worry about our own business. So then when you're looking at your time that's left on your schedule, you need to spend 80% of that time on your own business. So doing the 4 vital behaviors, some of that's already factored in with your workouts and everything. You know, making sure you're doing, adding, connecting, inviting, following up, factor in time to do trainings. Remember that it doesn't have to be sitting at a desk like this, that it could be while you're meal prepping. But, you know, you need to kind of have all of these things in mind when you're looking at your schedule and seeing where these pockets are. Sorry, I'm looking at comments too and I get distracted. I swear I'm not ADD, but stuff like that really throws me off. Then the remaining 20% of your time should be spent on team activities. So real quick, I'm going to run through what does that look like with your personal business and then team. So when she, some of the things that she really honed in on was you have to have some kind of idea of what you need to be doing when you're sitting down, and you should have at least like 3 priorities. And I recommend doing this for your week, having like a main objective for your week, and then also like each day, if you know that you need to finish a cover photo for whatever event that you want to advertise, you know, like put little to-dos, not like 20 of them, you know, prioritize what absolutely has to be done by the end of this day, and then have it on that spot for your work time. Eliminate distractions. So I think something that is so key is recognizing how you work best. And I think it was in the call with Mel Robbins that she maybe talked about this. But if you're at home and you end up doing nothing but laundry when you're supposed to be working because you work right next to the laundry room, then maybe you need to go to a coffee shop. You know, just think about these things. Be aware of what kind of draws your attention when it shouldn't be, and control the controllable, like turning off notifications, turning off the chat option like popping up when you're trying to write a post. If you're not using your phone, put it on airplane mode. You know, just there's so many different things that are trying to get our attention that when you really sit down for that little bit of time, you need to make sure that you're being efficient with it. One thing that I was really guilty of that was a huge time suck was when I was doing like connecting and making new conversations with people. If they happened to start answering me back, I would automatically want to answer them back because I was right there. And if it wasn't something that was extremely time sensitive, say like somebody I knew that was in the middle of enrolling and, you know, had a question about like shake flavors or something, I ignore them. I make sure that I am, you know, addressing the ones that I need to be addressing before I move on to answering new ones, because you will sit there forever just answering mindless conversations, and then you realize that all of your time was up and you didn't even invite anybody. And timers. I've been doing this for a little before we went to the new leadership conference, but it's really huge. And I think the most important time to do it is when you're checking in your challenge groups, because that's where I need it most. But just really being aware and intentional of where you're using your time and where you maybe need to be shifting it if you're not seeing the results that you want to see. And then really quickly, for team aspects, for those of you that do have coaches under you, you want to be able to figure out a system that works for you, where you're available for your coaches that are showing up, but not like 24/7. So whether that's one-on-one calls with them or even like doing a weekly mastermind. And I recognize this is more, you know, higher level. Like if you're a brand new coach, this seems kind of like crazy to you, but I think it's important for you to be hearing it now, just so you see that it's doable and you're not expected to be like holding all of your coaches' hands. We have so many resources, and especially with the training groups we have going on, they don't need you all the time. And it's actually healthy to show them that, because you don't want them to portray that, because then you're going to see that nobody wants to be a coach because they don't want to be available all the time. Does that make sense? And I think that's the main thing. Make sure you're sewing into your people that are serious, that are showing up and actually taking action. I'm not saying don't give all your coaches attention, but you shouldn't be giving, as much attention to somebody that is purely there for the discount and somebody that is trying to create a substantial amount of income to, leave their job. And because, how many of you were on Mel Robbins' call the other day? Okay, so not many. Okay. Really quick, if y'all don't mind, I'm going to share some things from her that I think tie in beautifully. She talked about 5 principles of productivity, and I've started incorporating these. The first one is no phone in your bedroom. I think it's crazy for a lot of us, but it's really helped me. I've been using my iPad as my alarm because I don't use it for anything, honestly, and I've been leaving my phone in the living room. And that way I am not instantly picking it up and looking at it and being overloaded with all of the stuff that I need to be doing for the day when I first get up. She also explained why it's so important to get up on the first alarm because of sleep cycles. And just understanding the science behind it has made me get my butt up on the first time it goes off. It affects your productivity for 4 hours after you're awake if you snooze. And so that mental flip for me has been huge because a lot of us have to rely on that morning time to work our business. I know that's how I grew mine whenever I was still practicing. Start your day 5 minutes to yourself, prayer, meditation, whatever it is, before you touch anything else. So keep that quiet, get your thoughts in line, know what you're going to be doing for the day. Sorry if you'll hear my girls. And then that goes into number 4, which is focusing on progress with each day, not tackling like this never-ending to-do list, but focusing on a few simple things that you want to do that day. And she discussed something that I think was huge because we all strive for this work-life balance. And she said she actually doesn't believe in it, that you can't achieve balance because you're constantly going through these different demands and seasons of life. So, and I know all of you that have kids can so relate to this, but if you have a child that is home that is sick, your priorities are going to be different that day. And so the idea of having like this perfectly mapped out balance between, work and home on days like that can get you really defeated. I know it can for me at least, because I instantly, like if I know I'm going to have that kind of day where they're going to be glued to me, I used to instantly start thinking, well, my business isn't going anywhere today. I'm not doing what I need to. I'm not going to get to do my checklist, whatever. And it would take away from what I needed to be worrying about, honestly. Like, that's silly. And so when she brought that up, it almost like was a weight lifted off. And I hope it's the same for y'all. Like, yes, still be intentional. Try to find pockets where you can still do your vitals, but it's okay, if you need to worry about your family more that day. And if you know that you set a big, scary goal of hitting Diamond or 2-star by Summit, and the qualification period is April, whatever Jordan just shared with me today and made me go into panic mode, you may have to hustle a little bit more leading up into that. And you may have to share that with your family and help them recognize why it's important for you to reach that goal, how it's going to bring in more income for your family. And so you may have a season where you are a little more to the work, side of things. I think you just have to be flexible and recognize that there's no perfect, and you just need to go into each day with some kind of idea of what you need to be focusing on in that moment and just tackle that. Don't get overwhelmed with everything else. And yeah, I told you I would talk fast. I feel like I don't even take a second to give y'all a chance to do anything. Let me see if there's Or if somebody has like questions or anything and wants to unmute, I hope that was helpful though, because this was something that I really struggled with in the beginning.
Yeah, that was great, Jessica. I love Melanie's so organized, like just blows me away every time I hear her speak. I mean, it's not always about organization, but you can just, she just radiates like lists and having things in order. And I mean, you have to be though. I mean, that's why her business is so fruitful, because you know, she's got all these systems in place, and that's freeing in a way. So I hope you guys took notes from both of these ladies tonight. And if you guys have questions, we still have like 4 minutes. If anybody has a question we can chat about for a minute, you can unmute yourself or like wave us down.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when Melanie was talking like about her schedule and whatnot, did she like mention, like, for example, so Leslie, you made out the like your schedule or whatever that you're going to share. Like, did she talk about how she shares that? Like, you know what I'm trying to ask?
Like what program or anything? I don't think so. She just mentioned like setting up like a weekly mastermind, or, you know, like blocking off time for one-on-ones. I want to say they talked more about scheduling the calls with, it wasn't her. Wasn't it one of the ones that it was like leadership specific and it gave us action points, Leslie?
I'm not sure what I mean.
Are you like passing out now?
Yeah, I'm so tired. The biggest piece that I took away from Melanie's was like, you know, the Google doc thing, which was scheduling out the pieces of my day, how I wanted to spend the pieces of my day, and then blocking out my family time, which is the biggest game changer for me. Melanie blocks out 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. for family time. And by family time, I mean, you guys, she locks up her phone. She puts her phone in a lockbox. And that just blew my mind. Because as much as I preach it, I don't walk it. I pick up my phone way too much. And especially as a new coach, I was glued to my phone. And it affected my marriage in a huge way, because I wanted to help people and I was excited and I was hungry and I thought I needed to answer everybody's questions like right away, and I didn't. And that's why we tell you guys, like, you don't have to answer people's questions like right away. You can wait till tomorrow. That's why we tell you guys that over and over and over and over again, because we saw the effects it had on our relationships with our husbands or the relationships with our kids, where we were like, oh, checked out. You know what I mean? So it you don't have to be glued to your phone, you know? And so when I came home and told my husband, he was ecstatic that I was going to put my phone down. And when I told my kids, I cried when I told my kids, because they were like, what? You're going to like put your phone away when we get off the bus? And I was like, oh my God, I'm a horrible mother. And so basically what she does, and obviously this schedule would be different for every person, you know, like if you're a working mom or whatever, but like, you just pick a time slot where you're going to say, okay, this is a non-screen time for our family, right? And so you're going to put your phone away for, it doesn't have to be that big of a chunk. It can just be an hour or two. And you put your phone away, and everybody does. And then, you know, at 9 o'clock when the kids go to bed, I'm going to spend from 9 to 10 to answer critical messages, and then I'm going to go to bed. And you know, what Jessica just said about, you know, you want to show your team that it doesn't take, how did you word that? That like, you don't have to be attached to, I don't know how you said it.
You don't want people to think that you have to be attached to your phone to make this work, because then they're going to portray that and nobody's going to want, like, who wants that?
Yeah. And I was watching, Emily Favre, who's like this really up and coming coach, and she addressed it on her Instagram story a couple nights ago. And she said, I have people tell me all the time, I could never do what you do because I see you up till 3 a.m. answering people's messages, and there's no way I would ever do that. And she was like, oh my gosh, I started this like working an hour a day. Like, this is not what I envisioned my life to be. Like, now it's because I want to be a top 10 coach. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, you set your schedule and then you share it with your husband, like Jessica was saying. And when I showed my husband the schedule and was like, okay, look, tonight, it's Tuesday, I have a team call. I'm going to need your help at dinner. But on Wednesday, we're going to have time together. Like, he's so much more understanding about the fact that, like, hey, I'm not available on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, I'm all yours. Like, it's, okay, cool. Way less resentment about the fact that I'm like, peace out. So I really think that, like, we share a calendar now. Like, I put it in my Google Calendar and I synced it with his, so he can see, like, oh, Leslie has a call tonight. Okay, cool. So I don't know. That was kind of a game changer for me. That was a big takeaway for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something we all struggle with. And just like Jessica said, like, we just have seasons, and it's one of those things that, if you ask Logan every couple of months, I call her and I'm like, Logan, I need help. Like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this goal anymore. And it's just like, it's a season, and it happens, it doesn't have to be like, well, next year, maybe I'll put more time into it. It could be like next month that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm too overwhelmed. Like, the kids really need me. Like, it's just seasons, and you just got to roll with it and figure out, if you want it, just how to make it work. And that's why I think Leslie was the one that said, you have to define what your success is with this, and what what your goals are, what your success is with this may not be the same thing that mine is, or Logan's, or Leslie's, or Jessica's, or anybody else sitting on this call. And that's okay. Like, you wanting to get your Shakeology paid for, if that is a success in your book, which it totally is, that is awesome. If you want to go be top 10 coach and that's success in your book, then hell yeah, we are backing you up the whole way. Like, anything in between there, whatever your success is, you need to know what that is for you, so you know what you're working for. If you've got these big, huge dreams and goals, you got to know that you're going to have to put a little more time into it, a little more hustle into it, a little more oomph into it. You can't expect those really big things by putting in, those hobby hours. But that's the beauty of the job, right? I feel like I say that every call. It's so amazing that we can all run our businesses differently. We can all put in different hours and different, at different times of the day. Some of us work full time. Some of us stay home and work with kids all day long, whatever it is. And we can all still be very successful in this. And I hope that you guys know that, that you have just as much potential as anyone else on this call to have a thriving business and to have success with this. So thank you guys so much for sharing your takeaways. I know there's so much more that you could probably dive into, and maybe we'll have like a part 2 if there's something you guys are just really dying to share with us. As always, please go live in the page if there's something that you're like, oh, I want to talk about this from NLC, and share with us. That's one of the amazing things about having leaders on this call that are going to conferences like this, that go to the leadership conference, that go to Summit. That one of the reasons that we are shooting for a really, really big goal at the end of this year of going to becoming an elite team, because you guys, these trainings and these tools and getting to work hand in hand with like these big time coaches, it's huge, you guys. And so we're so thankful for you guys kind of stepping out of your comfort zone. and working your butts off last year, getting that goal, and then going to that conference and bringing back what you learned to us. We are so very thankful. So thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your evening, and we will see you guys in the team page and in our challenge groups. Hope y'all have a fantastic night. Bye, y'all.